whatever we want to talk about, we can talk about. So
Perfect.
perfect. Okay, we ready to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everyone. I'm here with Kyle Williams to talk High School Musical, the series, season 3, which just finished, wrapped up its last episode last Wednesday. So a little over a week ago by the time this podcast will drop. Kyle and I have been talking about this season all season long. We talked about it heading into the season. Kyle, give us a brief little biography about yourself first, but then also share how you got into this show.
Absolutely. So, name's Kyle Williams. I'm a student at Northwestern in the master's program. And if I remember, this is how like we really connected was through this show. And I started watching the show during the pandemic. It was like during winter of the pandemic, right before the High School Musical, the holiday special was about to air. And I just decided to give it a chance. I obviously as a young 23-year-old, the trilogy was a big part of my childhood. So I gave it a shot. And I felt season one, I fell in love with it instantly. I still love that season. And just kept going ever since then, and now we're here.
Yeah, I was actually talking with some people recently about how it's so crazy to think that this show feels like so recent and so current and like just so wrapped up in the past like year and a half of our lives, but it predates COVID. Like it came out in 2019, which is like a whole different phase of my life, a whole different phase of everyone's lives. But I mean, I was the same way. I got into it pretty much right away. So like from the time the first episode dropped, I remembered I watched the first episode like probably like 8 times between the episode 1 release and episode 2 because I was like, wow, I cannot get enough of this show. A fun fact, I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod before, but I will share now. I have a very vivid memory of me being like 17, 18, so like 2016, 2018 range. And I did a lot of acting growing up, like theater and stuff like that in school. And so like every once in a while I'd hop on casting pages, look at what things you could audition for. And I had heard rumblings about there was going to be some new High School Musical project. So I was like, "Oh, I'll look at the Disney casting page, whatever." I vividly remember pulling it up and like looking at the scene that they had that you could read the sides for. And the character names were Ricky and Nini. And I was like, those are the two worst character names I've ever heard. I am not going to do this. Now I'm like, oh my God, Ricky and Nini. Like, I love
And
Ricky. But like, wow, what could have been if I had just auditioned for HSMTMTS? But
like, you could have beat out Olivia.
I
That
know
would have
I could be
things would have
a global
changed.
pop sensation. Who would have thought? Instead, I'm here hosting a podcast, which is just as good. But anyway, so that's kind of how we both got into this show. Um, this was the third season. I almost wrote in my notes that this was the fourth because it does just feel like season 2 was like multiple seasons, and we can get into season 2 a little bit later. We're here to talk about season
It
3.
feels a little weird because like they crank these seasons out
Yeah,
like whereas like Euphoria had that long break, like this show comes out every like months or so. Like they already started a season four
mhm.
like production. So this show they come fast.
Yeah, and they better turn it around too because I don't know that I have the attention span for like a whole another year or like even like 6 months. Wait, like as soon as that is like filmed and done, like they don't have special effects. It's not Marvel. Like they can just put it out there. Like, just give it to me raw, unedited. Like I do not care.
I think Tim he's trying to like hurry this up because last time they took an extended break, he lost one of his stars to pop superstardom. And if he waits too long, Sophia Wiley's right there. She could easily become another superstar. And then now who's he building the show around?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's talk about that then, which will kind of give us like a bridge between season 2 to looking at where we were in season 3. So obviously Olivia Rodrigo was the star of this show in season 1. She was around in season 2, albeit already kind of in a reduced role in season 2. They were clearly setting up her exit from the show. At that point, she was recording music. I think season two dropped after the Sour album, but was filming when she was recording it. Does that sound right? I think that's the right time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so by the time it came out, she like barely posted about season two. I don't think she went to the premiere. There was like no connection between her and the show at all, which is how we kind of arrived at season three. And no one really knew what her involvement was going to be. And Kyle, can you just kind of explain what her role in this season ended up being?
So she is in California recording music with Gina's brother, Jamie, and she's with her stepmothers, and we get introduced to her biological father, which was this whole different plot line that I was expecting. I don't know if you were expecting that, but it and then it's just she's away from the whole camp vibe. So she is separate from the entire original cast, and she comes in the very last episode to kind of give her tradition of writing notes before on opening night. But other than that, there's really no interactions between her and the main cast other than her and Miss Jen kind of conversing and forming their whole bond.
Yeah, she's only in two episodes. The opener, she doesn't interact with any of the original cast. Well, she interacts with Miss Jen, I think, in both episodes. And then in the finale, she also interacts with Courtney, who's like her best friend. So like they kind of had to do that, though they didn't have her interact with Ricky. And I really felt like they should have done that too. She
And
only sings once. There was a huge rumor going into the finale that she was going to sing Gotta Go My Own Way and then didn't, which was really disappointing for me personally.
I wish they would have done like and doing some like background research. Apparently, all of her scenes were filmed right before her tour. So
Oh,
these like this was filmed in like 3 day span,
huh.
and I would have I would have loved if she sang "Gotta Go My Own Way." And the song she did end up singing, she didn't even write the song.
I
And
know.
I'm like, you have this generational songwriter, and we're having someone else write it. It was I mean, it was like her role in this season. It was just very kind of lackluster. It just, I
Yeah.
would have rather she just didn't show up again after she gave her song, and then I would have been fine if that was it.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's what's going on with Nini, Olivia Rodrigo's character. Meanwhile, pretty much the entire rest of the cast, minus a couple people, is out at Camp Shallow Lake, which anyone who watched the first season of the show will remember that is where EJ and Nini kindled their romance. That was a big storyline in season one. So EJ's a camp counselor, everyone else is attending just for fun this summer camp. We got Ricky, we got Gina, Courtney, EJ, who we find out is named Elton John.
Very on par for the show.
Questionable decision. Um, is that really the only five, 4 or 5 main cast members that are in? Oh, Carlos. I forgot Carlos. But yeah, like we're missing Big Red, we're missing Seb, missing Nini. Those are the main three. And missing anyone else?
Um, Come on, Mr. Mazzaro, you can't leave him out.
That's true. And he really gets scorned this season because we find out Miss Jen is still dating Mr. Bowen, which is
I don't understand that. It they
real.
set it up so perfectly, and then just we're like, no, Ricky's dad. We're gonna do this.
Yeah. Anyway, so all of those people are at camp. They're putting on, this is where things start to get real crazy. They're putting on a production of Frozen at camp, standard, but it's the first ever student performance, non-Broadway performance of Frozen. And so Disney Plus really met a moment here, decided that it's going to film a documentary hosted by High School Musical star Corbin Blue about these kids putting on the musical. Can you think of anything that's more meta than this season of this show?
The next season of the show.
Yeah.
that's that's the only thing. Like I love like all of the references to High School Musical that they like push towards Corbin, and then he just kind of like, no, yeah, that was a former life, and it's just like, no, until the very end. But yeah,
Yeah. And so they do music. The thing that I found like the most overwhelming, because like sure, they're filming the show, whatever. I can get past all that. But what I found most disorienting was they were singing songs from so many different projects. Because you have the Frozen songs in there, you have the Frozen like Broadway songs in there, which like there's at least one that they sing that I had never heard before. You have HSM2 songs in there. You have Camp Rock songs in there. Like there was just so much going on in this project to just contend with and dig through.
can, can we just talk really quickly about the mashup to start the season of what time is it? And like, we didn't need that.
I've
We just
scrubbed it from
didn't.
my memory, honestly.
Like that was just so underwhelming. I mean, like if you're gonna do what time is it, I feel that song is revered enough that it deserved just its own rendition. And then you do the whole mashup, and that's to start the season. It left me very a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I think, and this is something we can talk about when we get it into like what next season's gonna look like, because I know Tim Federle, the showrunner, has like made some comments about it. But like I think the thing that season one did really well was that it was like paying homage to High School Musical and like yes, putting some new spins on it, but also not changing things that people love. And like a large part of this audience is like people our age returning to watch because they loved High School Musical growing up. I don't need to hear an auto-tuned version of Joshua Bassett, who has an amazing voice, singing Bet on It. That was a season two scene. But like that song is so good and he has the range to sing it. And they put it over like an EDM track. And like that just didn't need to happen. And there was a lot more of that in season three. I think the only performance of one of the older songs that I really liked this season was in episode 8 when they did the This Is Me. And it was pretty much all of them just singing in like the spotlight. I thought that was really well done.
That was amazing. Like when they did, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That song, it was just it felt perfect, especially in the moment, and you had all of their voices harmonizing at the same point, and the girl, the actor, I forgot her name, Segura, Lamani Segura. She was amazing as a vocalist on this track. Like she came with her best vocals for this song, and it was the first time like all season that I really felt that okay, like those weird cozy vibes from season one, like the childlike in like the child inside of me came out and I started singing along with her.
Mhm.
And I wish they had more of that. Like you have all of these great performers, not just great actors, great performers. Let them perform. Like you said, we don't need Joshua Bassett over an EDM beat for Bet on It. Just let him sing Bet on It.
Yeah. And they did the same thing with like Sophia Wiley this season as well, which I get that they were trying to make her into more of the like leading lady this season, but like some of the like weird numbers that they had her do, I'm like, just let her show off the fact that she can dance. Like it doesn't need to be like this weird like breakout dream sequence. Like just have her dance. Like that's
Like
she's
like like the like the one she did with Corbin, like different way to dance, where they kind of it went from being about basketball to them just dancing, and that would have been the perfect opportunity. Instead of doing a whole basketball dream sequence, why not do I Don't Dance or an original number from the second movie or something along those lines?
well, and that, kind of to that point, and I'm going to switch our order of talking points here because I want to. We're kind of on the vein of favorites and superlatives and stuff, so I want to hit these. But the one note I'll make before we get into them is like one thing that I think has drastically dropped off from season one to season three, which has kind of impacted how this show has been perceived and received by audiences, is the original music has gotten so much worse. We had Wondering in season one, you had All I Want, you had Just for a Moment. Like those are three songs that I listen to normally, like would put in my headphones and listen to. I can't think of a single original song That's a lie. Joshua Bassett had one in season 2 that I really liked, but other than that, everything else has just been like it's adults writing music they think teenagers would write instead of letting the teenagers and young 20 somethings just write the music themselves, which is the whole point of the show. Like, just let them do that.
Exactly. Is I completely agree with the quality of music just decreasing as like the seasons have progressed. And it's just so disappointing because all I want, that song, like just independent of the television show and everything, that song is just a banger. Like
Mhm.
I love that song. And just you have even Role of a Lifetime when Miss Jen sings with Lucas Grabeel. Like
Mhm.
even that, like all of these songs were the Truth Justice songs are all off of memory.
Truth,
Like
Justice, and Songs in Our Key. Great one.
like all of Born to Be Brave, all of these songs, and then just this season, there's not. I mean, and then even in season two, we had uh Even When in the Best Part
Yeah,
with
that's yeah.
and that's probably the only song that I can like take away from that season. Or in this season, the only song I would really take away is the new version of "This Is Me." But in terms of original like songs, it's just fell flat. And when you stifle the creativity of the young actors, they're really like hurting the music quality, which is such a big part of the show.
Yeah, no, 100%. You kind of just touched on it, I think, but one of the superlatives I've had was, what was your favorite musical number from this season?
Oh, that this to me, I think I I would have to go with the honestly I'm gonna go with What Do You Know About Love with Sophia Wiley and Joshua Bassett just because they have such great chemistry together and just them going like with the way the camera was shooting and that like one motion and knowing the pressure on the two actors that they couldn't mess up or else they had to redo it just even heightened my love for it. And it's just a great like upbeat and great charisma between two actors who have obviously had great chemistry for a while now, and it was just great to see them get a chance to show it again. What was yours?
That was going to be my answer, just because I think like it was the best encapsulation of the chemistry that they do have, and I feel like it was the closest season one ish moment we got. The other one that I liked, I feel like it's less like a like musical number as like more of like a snippet of a number, was when Jet sang for the first time in forever, because the guy that plays him has a beautiful voice, and that was like the first time you heard it in the show. So like I really enjoyed that, but that was just like a snippet, and it gave me very Ricky Bowen season one vibes. So
Jet was such a weird character for me in this season, and just they tried to pull off like bring in these new characters into the universe that already existed, and I think they did a good job of me of like I wanted to know more about these characters, but we even at the end of the season, I still don't know that much about Jet and Maddox outside of like two big character developments. But other than that, they're still like strangers.
yeah, well, and that seems to be like a kind of a problem the show has, which is hard to say because there's only been 3 seasons, but like we got to know a lot of new characters in season 2, none of whom appeared in season 3. Which, how do you do that? One, it would suck to be the actor hired for that and be like, yeah, you're going to be on this super successful TV show. Well, I mean, they can't complain about that because I'm jealous. But like, you're going to be on this super successful TV show. We're only going to use you for a season, even though there's no reason we couldn't have you in. Like, how were none of those kids from, what was it, South, North High,
North High, yeah.
going to Camp Shallow Lake? Like, you're telling me none of those kids go to theater camp? Like, that's complete BS.
Like, and then Howie's at college already, and that's the only time we really get reference to what like one of those like characters from season two are doing. And like we get the Lily in the first episode, but then that's it. Like they Bricky finds that she stole the beast hardness, which I'm happy they came back to that and that just wasn't lost in the wilderness. Like in the open that, oh yeah, she still is a kind of bad person. And but I don't, it's just, it feels like it was a fever dream because we don't know what happened to any of the season two characters.
Mm-mm. And like, who knows? I mean, I guess they could like maybe come back in some capacity for season four, but it would be weird to leave them out of season three and then bring them back. So I don't think that that would happen. But we've mentioned two of the new characters in season three, Jet and Maddox, who I want to talk extensively about in a moment because I have a very serious thing to discuss about their relationship. But the other characters we get are Val, played by Meg Donnelly, who's like probably the biggest star Disney Channel has right now. Like she's been in a lot of stuff for them. She's in the Zombies trilogy. She does like other non-Disney work. So she was kind of a surprise that she was in there. Val, the two young girls who played the young Anna and Elsa, who we didn't hear like a ton from, but like you said, one of them got to sing.
And
Um,
they just kind of disappeared like in the middle of the season.
yeah,
So
they would like pop in and pop out. I think those are the five. Jet, Maddox,
yeah,
two little girls, and Val. I think we're all of the new like named characters that we got this season.
it depends. What do you think of the special guest appearance that we had during the prom episode?
Oh, see, I'm trying to tune that out of my head because it was stupid. For one, which I don't know. I guess I can't say anything because my voice sounds like I smoke six packs of cigarettes a day right now. But JoJo Siwa came into a room full of like quote unquote teenagers sounding like she has a smoking habit. Like she just did not fit in at all. There was no reason they needed to bring her back other than like, or bring her back. She hadn't been in it before this episode. She was in one episode. Why did they do that, Kyle? Why did they do that?
I guess with Olivia being a recurring character, they felt they needed another star, but it's just a lot of the way they utilized their characters this season just kind of fell flat. It's like she came in the second to last episode with the only knowledge that we had of her being she is Maddox's ex.
Mhm.
And then we end up learning about how Jet and Maddox are siblings, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about that. And and then they reconcile, and then she leaves, and it was like okay, you could have found somebody else to play that role and have them be here more.
Yeah. So the Jet and Maddox are siblings things. That's something we don't find out until episode three. I think episode three, I think the viewer finds out. Episode four, I believe, was when everyone else found out. Like the characters in the show found out.
Yeah.
Those two, for one, don't look anything alike, which is fine. Maybe they're adopted, though they never clear that up. It makes no sense, like looking at them, that they're related, and they don't do anything to explain why that might be, which I don't know. I guess, like, if we're normalizing things, maybe that's how you want to do it. But it felt confusing to me as a viewer, especially when you look at some of the dialogue, which I wish I had written down. I have like a random string of notes from like the first couple episodes, but I don't think I have anything about that. But they had some weird romantic tension moments throughout the season where they would like say things like the whole like part of the whole reveal that they're siblings. There was some weird line of dialogue. I'm gonna try and find it while you share your thoughts and what your perceptions were on Jet and Maddox because I hated that they were siblings.
It just like you said, there was this weird like undertone that they were even when they were, once then while filming the documentary, they were told that they had to spice up the drama. And so they started giving each other assigning roles. And then at one point, Carlos told Maddox that she was heartbroken that Jet, I believe, loved Courtney or something along those lines. And then she just reacted like any normal person who's told they love their sibling as more than that would react. And then that whole thing was just weird. It's just why are they siblings? And then in the end they sang the duet that I believe in Camp Rock. It it was Joe Jonas's character and Demi Lovato who were romantically linked sing. And so it's just very, I don't know what they were trying to go for.
Yeah, I God, I should have written down the exact dialogue, but it was just so weird. It was giving, do you know, have you seen all the stuff about the really old Disney Channel show Life with Derek and how the steps
Yes.
that like there's the whole scene where he's like step brother. Like that's what that was giving. That whole relationship. Like I was just like, there is no way that like I have a younger brother. Never have I had any of those interactions with my younger brother ever. Like what? They just talked to each other so weirdly.
And and then it's just out of nowhere. And like you mentioned in the third episode, he just was like, Maddie, come on, after he like ruined her retelling of a ghost story at camp. And when I was as a viewer, I just was sitting there start like Maddie, what is going on here? And then it's just I it was weird. It was uncomfortable to watch these like siblings who don't look alike and have this weird and they don't even talk like siblings to each other, like you just mentioned. Now that I think about it,
Mm.
they it's I'm that was frustrating.
Yeah. I I could go on and on, but that was a bad decision. Like they could have just made them like, I don't know, they know each other from school or something like that. And like, because like the whole thing that she's mad at him about is that like he accidentally outs, well, accidentally or purposefully outs her to their parents, which is why she's upset with him. And then he gets expelled, which is why he's sent to camp. And like that's easily something that could have been like a, oh, we're classmates at a different high school. He accidentally outed me and his parents ended up sending him here, yada, yada, yada. And then you don't have to do the whole siblings thing. We didn't need them to be siblings. It just didn't need to. Let's talk
Yeah,
about some other character relationships. This one, I know you will really have a lot to say because I have listened to you and our good friend Jomia Deneron for 8 weeks just blow up my phone about this plot point from season 3, which is the Ricky, Gina, and EJ love triangle, which really isn't a love triangle until like the last couple episodes because you don't really know if Gina likes Ricky back at this point. Like she's very much invested in her relationship with EJ. So just to kind of recap before I let you get on your soapbox and talk about this, come into this season, Gina and EJ are dating. We had seen them nearly kiss at the end of last season, but because Sophia Wiley was not 18 yet, they couldn't kiss for that season. So then they brought it into this season. They're dating when they get to camp, but EJ kind of gets swamped with all these responsibilities, being a counselor and the director of the play. And they're just like not really able to connect throughout camp the way that Gina wants them to. So then they like break up at the end, and Ricky has had a crush on her at least through this whole summer, or maybe potentially even since he and Nene broke up for the second time.
I
Kyle, what
mean,
do you think?
I mean, couldn't you even say that he's always kind of had a crush on Gina in a way? It's just
Yeah,
remember at the dance, like they had that moment in his car where they just kind of stared at each other and there was a hint of some tension there. But I was so happy, was so happy when Sophia and I'm happy that it was Sophia Wiley's character Gina breaking up with Matt Cornett's character EJ.
mm-hmm.
Made it that more satisfying to see that because EJ needs to grow up and do what people who well he's taking a gap year, but basically just grow up.
Yeah,
Like why are you messing with a high school junior, incoming
going
high
into
school
her
junior?
junior year, not even coming out of her junior year. She's going into her junior year.
And so it is. And my favorite part of this whole season is how Courtney's talking about how Howie's at college, probably kissing other girls by now. And I'm like, okay, so Howie's at college, but meanwhile, our knight in shining armor, EJ Elton John Caswell, is still trying to make his relationship work with the rising junior.
Mhm.
Make it make sense to me. And the just so happy. Like so happy.
Yeah, I see. My thing is like, I got into this show because I wanted to see Ricky and Nene together because that's how they sold
Yeah.
season one. Was that season one was Ricky trying to get Nene? Like, I vividly remember that's what they were selling in the trailer, and I fully bought it. Like they hooked me. Like they got me
Yeah.
into
Oh
this.
yeah. They got me too.
So then, like, season one, that happened. I was like, great, this is fabulous. And then going into season two, we already know about all of the outside drama. So then I was like, they're not going to have the same chemistry. And at that point, I didn't feel like Josh and Sophia had a lot of physical chemistry. I think that's changed. I think they have more physical chemistry now. Um, but so, like, I had never been like a arena shipper. I had never been like an EJ and Gina. Like, I just was kind of like, first season I didn't like Gina or EJ really, and so then it's just
Wow.
been like they were good characters. I think they were there for a reason, but neither of them I was like particularly impressed or I mean Sophia Wiley's talented. I was impressed by her, but I like Gina as a character. Her whole
Yeah.
first season plot is just
She's the transfer student.
like she's not doing anything like groundbreaking. So like
she
I didn't have a horse in this game, but I feel like you guys convinced me throughout the season that I needed to be rooting for Ricky and Gina to end up together.
like real quick on like rewatching season one, like you really see just how young she is compared to the rest of the cast. And I'm like, is is it just me or does she like come across as younger, just a couple of years younger than the rest of the cast, even in the first season?
Yeah, well, because she was 15, I think. Olivia Rodrigo
Insane.
was 16. I mean, they were both at least 2 years younger than everyone else in the cast because I think Josh was 19, like Julia Lester, who plays Ashlyn, was 19, 20. Carlos and
Matt Cornett was like 25.
yeah, Matt Cornett was way older, which was a little weird. And you just kind of have to be like, okay, it's acting, whatever. But
He
yeah, so
feels like a dad.
yeah, I don't know. It is crazy to go back and rewatch and see how young they looked. But then I'm like, I look at pictures of myself from 2019 and I feel like I was a whole different person. So
But it's just like going back to the whole like EJ and Gina dynamic. It's one thing that's always stood out to me about Gina is just she's always longing for something. She's longing to feel accepted. She's longing to have sisters and friends, and now she's longing for this relationship to work. And that's why I love the way they approached it. In that it's kind of Ricky on the outside. Ricky's in the position that Gina was in the previous season, where he wants someone that's unavailable.
mhm.
And one thing I did love about it is like they didn't cheat on each other, even though Ricky did steal EJ's girl again. But it's Sophia's like so invested into having a relationship with EJ, and then she just reaches a point where like she said it perfectly, maybe isn't good enough for her anymore.
Mhm.
And that to me was powerful in that she's making the decision to end the relationship on her terms because it's not what she wants. And then in the last season we get in the last episode we get the king of the last scene end of the season kiss. Joshua Bassett swoops in and creates this
Oh,
moment.
yeah, which I mean, I think to your point about like Gina's kind of character arc, I think she throughout the three seasons has had the most consistent, believable arc for her character. Like there is clear growth in who she is as a person between season one and season three. Yet there's still those things, like you said, like season one, she's longing to belong, to be accepted. Season two, she's still kind of longing to belong, to be accepted, but like in a different way. Now she has some stability. How does she fit in there? And then now it's the longing for the relationship, like you said. So I think she's the most consistent character. I think Ricky is nearly there as a character. I think season two messed it up a little bit just because there was like they couldn't do anything because Joshua Bassett and Olivia Rodrigo like wouldn't work together.
Yeah.
Um, but like because like he too, I think like season one and season three we see him going through very similar things. And yeah, we get these two big moments at the end. As you were talking earlier about how he's had a crush on her potentially like the whole time, I was pulling up this Instagram post from Tim Federle. Have you seen this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm. No.
He's been posting some of the original scripts from this season, and he posted the original what is this? This was the rough draft of the season 3 finale scene, so like the very last scene of the episode. I will read it to you.
Okay.
Okay, so you have the dialogue from Corbin Blue. Corbin stands, he motions to a camera operator, let's leave. They do. Gina, is there anything we can do to stop this documentary from coming out? Ricky shakes his head no. She sighs, exits, almost. Then, Ricky, the chocolates were from me. Gina, what? Ricky, on Valentine's Day, I knew you were alone. I knew you needed something or deserved something. So I called your mom. I asked her to send you them. I didn't want to confuse you. And I was going through such a weird time with, and I feel bad I'm even saying this, but now I wish I'd signed the card. And if you want me to shut up, I will, but I know you like to know where you stand with people. So, and then they kiss. So in the in the original draft, it was going to be revealed that those infamous season 2 chocolates from like beginning of season 2 were from Ricky. now
I
now I don't know, like, were they, or like, is that still canon and we just don't know about it yet, or
I I have thoughts about that. That would have been the messiest thing they could have done. I would have been here for it, of course. I would have been here for. I love like toxic Ricky. It's my favorite thing.
hmm.
But I hope they bring that back at some point. That that'd be a great way to introduce like the chocolates again into the next season. But what do you think about it?
I mean, it's so hard to look at season 2 because they had things they probably wanted to do with season 2 that just didn't pan out because of whatever drama was going on off screen that we're never going to really fully know about or understand. But like, there is no doubt in my mind that there were certain character arcs that were scrapped and they had to hastily redo things. And like, it wouldn't surprise me if that whole kind of plot point where he takes the chocolates to her, like, was something that was thrown in last minute or like whatever, yada yada yada. Like that could have potentially been something that was thrown in because they knew they would need it in season 3 to establish that there had been feelings between them before, because they knew Olivia was going to leave the show. Like it's just like something you'll never know. um as for like this having them reveal it or like a scene, like, I don't know. With Ricky's big speeches, I think we should just always let Joshua Bassett improv them. It worked
Mm,
amazingly well in season 1, and that's not to say that like this one wasn't good, but I can't remember what he said leading into that kiss. I just remember the kiss, whereas like, I love you. I've loved you ever since. Like I know that whole dialogue.
he got his bars off on that one. He's and it's even better knowing that like all of that was improv from him at the time and like real life experiences between him and Olivia, which now in hindsight kind of hurts, but it's but, but I don't even remember. Did he say anything other than just because I remember Gina walks out and tells him to stop her. He stops her with his arm and then he kisses her. I don't even think he says anything
Doesn't
at the
say
time.
anything. Yeah, so they took out the big speech. Maybe they thought it was going to be too much like season 1 and they didn't want that because they knew they could never top that speech.
Because that was like their whole beef really changes this entire show. Like,
I want to go to an alternate timeline where their beef never happens and we know what was supposed to happen in season 2 of HSMTMTS, and like they walk the carpet together. There's no drama. Like it just would be we would quite literally be living in a very different world.
I need those scripts. Like expedition, I need those scripts.
Release the scripts, Tim. Come on.
Please, please.
Oh God. Okay. So we kind of alluded to this earlier. I want us to talk a little bit about what potentially is coming in season 4 before we wrap up here, which
I don't know.
I don't really know that I understand what's coming in season 4. What we've been told, or what was said at the D23 Expo 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, um, was that season 4 will take place back at East High. It'll be the school year again. And the original cast members of High School Musical, the movies, not the series, the movies, will be at East High in the show filming a High School Musical 4 reunion movie. The immediate first question that comes to my mind is, does the High School Musical 4 reunion movie, will it get released outside of the show, or are they going to tease us by putting this fake reunion movie in the show and not giving it to us? Because I will never forgive them if that happens.
I I need. I'm a big Friends guy. I love that show, and when they did like their whole reunions, I need that for High School Musical. Like
Mhm.
just have everybody come together at East High, sit down, break bread, and just talk. If if Tim Federle, and we're on good terms now. It was on shaky ground, but me and Tim we're on good terms now. And but if he uses them to just bring them back for like 15 minutes in season 4 just to draw more I don't know what to say.
Yeah, or
I
like
don't know what
I guess one thing I'm like worried about is like, is there a way that they can do that plot and like not actually show a lot of the main cast? I mean, you have buy-in from Corbin Blue and from Lucas Grabeel, who have already been in the show. But like, how are you getting people like Ashley Tisdale and Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens to come back and do this, especially when like for years Zach and Vanessa didn't really want to revisit it at all, especially Zach. Like, I don't know if this is still true to this day, but I remember for years he was like, I never watched the third movie just because he didn't want to watch himself perform, even though that is the best one. Uh, but like, how do you like? I'm worried there's a way potentially you like say this movie is filming at the school and somehow you don't have them in it until like maybe the last episode, like you said, like 15 minutes, and that just doesn't seem fair to do.
yeah. I completely agree with you in that. And I remember Zach, they played like a High School Musical song for him when he was doing press for some movie, and he couldn't even like remember what the name of the song was.
No, no.
And so like he's so detached from this series, but I mean, recently he popped up at East High, um, and Vanessa Hudgens did as well.
Yeah.
But Tim has said that that had nothing to do with him or this show. That was just them on their own volition. But yeah, like how do you convince these megastars to come back for a full or full-ish season? Like it just seems very hard to do. And because the way I understand it, our main cast in the High School Musical, the series, would be extras in High School Musical, the
Yes,
reunion.
that too. Yeah.
And so if they're extras, you kind of need the main cast to come back to reprise their. I don't. My head hurts thinking about how like meta we've gone.
I'm like assuming that since things are under production now, like maybe things will get leaked. The other thing I saw, besides the Zach and Vanessa going to East High on separate occasions, that's reportedly not part of the show. Which, why would they be there? Why would they be there
They're just in Utah.
in Salt Lake City, Utah? Like, no way that's not related to High School Musical. Is that Ashley Tisdale did just dye her hair back to blonde again because she's naturally a brunette and has been brunette pretty much like since she and stopped doing Sharpay Evans things. And just recently, she posted a TikTok that she was back to blonde. So that seems to be a good indicator that she'll be in it in some capacity. I think the biggest two people to worry about and wonder about are Zach and Vanessa. Um,
Let's be honest here. Like the cast, if they get everybody but those two, like we
yeah.
don't yeah, like I don't need this. Like I mean I love the souffle that from the what's his name? I said it the other day.
Zeke.
But Zeke, yeah, I love Zeke and his souffles, but he's not bringing me to season 4.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's weird though, because how is it leaked already? Like, so that has me thinking that it's kind of a done deal. Like, if we're already starting to hear about like that plot line, but still, these are mega stars. Like, Zach could just wake up tomorrow and just be like, yeah, I don't really want to do it anymore.
He doesn't need the money, I don't think. I mean, like, granted, he's like, they're granted, both him and Vanessa have like removed themselves a little bit from the public eye in recent years. Like, they're not doing as many like movies and things like that. Like, she hosted the what was it, the Met Gala carpet, and then
Yeah.
like he has a couple um like reality adventure shows that he does that are pretty cool, but like neither of them are movie stars per se anymore, but they also definitely don't need the money from doing this TV show. So
Yeah, they're not hurting for cash. Like this isn't like they're not out here trying to get a quick like couple thousand millions, whatever. And even how big is this budget? Like, because you already have to pay your cast or whatever.
yeah, well, they just got rid of the huge sum that they were likely having to pay Olivia Rodrigo for seasons 2 and 3. Not that like that would be like anywhere equal to what they would have to pay any of these original guys, but that's a significant chunk of money they're getting back by her not being in it. So
I can't wait for the report where we find out like how much she was gonna like Olivia Rodrigo would have requested for season 3 full time. Like if I'm her, I tell them, hey, give me like whatever starting price it is for Zach. That's my starting price. For like because Olivia, she was you could see it in season 2. She didn't really want to be there. Like like if the magic was done, she was like, I'm gonna go make great records, tour off of my album, be the star of stars. I mean, like y'all cool, but pop stardom is awaiting me, and I
yeah,
understand that.
I agree. One final question before we wrap up here. What song, like High School Musical 3 song, are you most wanting them to perform in this season 4? And like, what would your like, what's the scenario that you want to see it happening?
Ooh, see that that's such a tough one because I High School Musical 2 is the best movie out of the trilogy. Again, another time, but
We can have a whole, we'll get Joey on for that pod as well.
that's where all three of us come. And I think he said the second one's the best. He wrote about it on The Ringer.
Mhm.
So he's on the right side of history. But I think I would have to go. This is so. I think I'm gonna go. Just want to be with you
Mhm. I do love that.
with with Gina and Ricky, of course.
Mhm.
And it's like they're going through like a quick spell or whatever where they're mad at each other and this Ricky's trying to get back on her good side, and he gets the guitar out like he always does, and he just strums and sings to her, and in front at the end of I don't even know how to frame it at the end of the re- filming of the reunion special in the show. I I don't, but that's my scenario.
Yeah.
Just want to be with you at the very end.
Okay. I could
What's
see
yours?
I could see Carlos and Seb singing that song too. My original idea, I want to see Ricky and Gina do Can I Have This Dance, especially because Sophia Wiley is a dancer and that scene is like iconic in the original movie when they're dancing on the roof and the rain starts and they're like jumping up around. Like I want that like a replica of that scene almost, but like it will never compare to the original. But I want Ricky
You're gonna
to do it. The other
you're
big
gonna get like the auto tune version.
no, no auto tune. Joshua Bassett has the vocal cords to sing. Like, why are we doing this to him? My other one, well, my other two, which are not like original ideas, these are all over the internet, is a Ricky and EJ boys are back, or potentially like, do you get like an EJ and Corbin, or like an EJ and Zach boys are back? Because remember how like EJ was a big fan of Zach. Like, do we get like a maybe like a past and present combo in that song? Also, Scream. If they don't sing Scream, if someone doesn't sing Scream, I will scream.
But Emily, we have to be realistic here. Why is EJ still here in season? Like, I know he's gonna be in season 4; it's been confirmed.
Be there.
But but, but like, why? Like, if I see him involved in this musical, like, I will scream because, like, bro, leave. Like, we're just, oh, it's so frustrating.
Here's my bet. I bet he gets hired as some sort of production assistant for the movie, because Corbin has seen what he can do as like a director and like person wrangler. Miss Jen knows what he can do, and Miss Jen's totally gonna act as like an in between the kids and the original cast as well, since they had Corbin remember her, albeit by the incorrect name. So he's totally, that's going to be his gap year, is he's going to realize he wants to go into movie production or something. And then at that point, do they try and write him off at the end of the season, which will be the last season anyway, but write that he's going to California and potentially make it come full circle and he goes and dates Nene again?
They, oh my goodness, like, that would
I
be,
just unlocked the key.
you might have just did something. I hope Tim Federer like listens to this and writes you a check. Because if that happens, that would be the most High School Musical, the series ending ever.
They wouldn't even have to
And
pay Olivia for it. Like hypothetically, they can just like say like, oh, EJ, like I'm sure they'll do like a flash forward at the after the season is over, like a flash forward to like Gina's graduation or like one of their graduations in the spring or whatever. And then they can just be like, oh yeah, like Ashlyn can be like, oh, I just got off the phone with EJ. He's like been hanging out with Nene, yada yada yada. And everyone will be like, oh.
like, oh, that's insane. How do you feel about that, Ricky? But like,
Ricky.
even like, because Rick, I'm curious to see if they keep Ricky and Gina together this entire like season.
I think I think they will, because I think if they were gonna do like a Ricky needs to be single for a moment season and like recognize that he needs to be like he recognizes he needs to be single, it would have been this past season, and they didn't do it because his whole thing in this show is being like the heartthrob. So they're not gonna have him just end the show and not be in a relationship. I guess maybe they like take a break, and then like that's also part of the flash forward where we see they're back on again, but then it's like why would you do that at that point? Like just like have them stay together.
I do love your "the boys are back" scene because somebody needs to do "the boys are back," and I can't see Big Red doing "the boys are back" with Ricky. Like, that's just not something that I can envision happening between those two characters in my
Yeah.
mind. But I mean, they just this season is open for so much that they can do, and I just hope they. I hope that if they do have all of these guest stars, I hope they use them a lot better than they used Olivia in this season, or um, why am I blanking on her name? Maddox's girlfriend.
Oh, Jojo Siwa.
Yeah, JoJo Siwa. Like, just use them better. Like, it, and I don't even know if we're gonna have Jet in this season or
No,
Maddox in
no,
this
yeah.
season. So, but it's just so I'm excited. I will say I'm excited for the season more so than I was during like the middle of season 3.
Yeah, I think there's a high ceiling for what season 4 could be. And at this point, through 3 seasons, like the floor is already the floor. I don't think season 4 can get worse than what we've seen in these middle 2 seasons. I do feel pretty confident that they'll be able to bring it back around and make a product that's nearly as good as season 1 was.
Or they could keep going like far in that other direction, like Riverdale, and just never come back, but keep producing seasons.
Kyle, you know that we could talk about Riverdale for ages because that's another thing we've talked about a couple times, but I will not let us get off track there. Thank you for joining me. This was a great conversation. I will definitely have to have you back on when we do season 4, hopefully with Jomi as well. But thanks for chatting with me.
Oh, thanks for having me on, of course. This was fun to talk about this season of television of High School Musical, the series before High School Musical, the series, season 4, the reunion special.
Yeah,
It's a lot. It's a mouthful.
it's getting there's too many words, too many words. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, we'll end it there. Thank you for chatting with me. I really enjoyed it.
no, that was fun. That was very fun.